So if you sell a new customer dominant product, does that mean you're doomed to failure? Hey everyone, welcome back to another mini episode of the Free to Grow CFO podcast, where I break down one key concept that will help your brand increase profit and cash flow as you scale. I'm your host, John Blair, founder of Free to Grow CFO. We are the go-to outsourced finance and accounting firm for 8- and 9-figure DTC brands. Okay, so I've recently been putting out mini episode content around a framework that is unique to Free to Grow CFO. It's our proprietary D2C growth marketing game playbook. For those of you who maybe don't remember what our framework is, it's a 4-step process. Step 1 is to identify the growth marketing game that your brand is playing. Step 2 is to set the first order profitability rule that is governed by your brand's unit economics. Step 3 is to define the scaling constraint within the game that you're playing. And step 4 is to deploy the playbook options that are available to your growth marketing game. So I recently recorded an episode talking about the apparel growth marketing game. Today, we're going to talk about what I call the new customer dominant growth marketing game. What is this? This game is characterized by a brand having no meaningful LTV, regardless of the time horizon. So that means that profit is primarily driven by new customers. Think about durable goods that are high quality, usually high priced, and that you buy as a consumer one time, and you quite likely don't need to replace that for another several years. So there's no reason to repeat purchase. If there is a small amount of repeat purchase through accessories and things of that nature, they're very small dollar amounts from a contribution margin standpoint, and they're effectively negligible. Now, you've probably heard lots of content creators talk about how high LTV subscription brands, subscription products, that's the way to go in D2C. So if you sell a new customer dominant product, does that mean you're doomed to failure? No, it doesn't. It just means that you need to know that you're playing that game and what playbook options are available to you. So if you're playing the new customer dominant growth marketing game, all of your profitability needs to come from new customers. So what does that mean your first order profitability rule is? It means you must always be first order profitable. Another thing is you quite likely need to make sure that you have enough gross margin dollars per order that you can sufficiently cover a rising CAC, because CAC goes up as you scale ad spend. So as you're scaling, you need to have sufficient gross margin dollars per order to cover that CAC and still have dollars left over to produce first order contribution margin profitability. So generally speaking, this game allows profitable ad spend scaling when you have a high enough price point and a high enough margin ratio that you have sufficient gross margin dollars to cover a rising CAC. Okay, so now that we've determined that for a new customer dominant brand, you must be first order profitable, what is the scaling constraint? Really, the primary scaling constraint is that there's a ceiling to your CAC. Your CAC cannot increase forever. At some point, CAC will rise to the point where it exceeds gross margin dollars per order and you become first order unprofitable. And usually one of the biggest constraints or drivers of that is offer fatigue. So what's the scaling constraint? At some point, CAC rises so high that you can't turn a meaningful profit on new customers, and as ad spend increases, total contribution margin dollars for the business go down and eventually turn negative. Okay, so now that we've defined the constraint, what are the strategy playbook options available to this game? There are a ton, but let me walk you through some of the typical ones that we help brands walk through as they're scaling the new customer dominant growth marketing game. The first one is, can you increase gross margin dollars per order to fund rising CAC? Some ideas: test new offers, test price increases, figure out how to drive bundling through new product introductions, and maybe some buy more, save more offers. Also, identify variable costs that you can reduce at the unit level to drive gross margin dollars per order up. The next playbook option is to work on increasing returning customer sales and ultimately returning customer contribution margin dollars per order. Now, although your product category probably won't allow you to turn your business into a subscription brand Any amount of incremental improvement in returning customer contribution margin can help fund a little bit of the rising CAC that you're experiencing as you scale ad spend. More than likely, the highest leverage profitable strategy for scaling a new customer dominant brand is to be very proactive about sales channel expansion, expanding into Amazon, other e-commerce marketing places, and eventually, depending on the product category, physical retail. Being proactive here means starting to explore expanding sales channels before you hit your CAC ceiling, before you hit the ceiling of the addressable market in your DTC channel. One key area where a fractional CFO can be super valuable in the strategy is modeling how your P&L and balance sheet are going to change as your margin structure and cash conversion cycle changes in big ways as you expand into new sales channels. One other thing that I want to mention is that as you scale a new customer dominant brand, placing big inventory POs is a lot riskier than when you're placing POs for a subscription brand. Why? Because for a subscription brand, there's known repeat purchase or retention dynamics. You know some of those customers are going to come back and buy a potentially overstocked inventory position. If most of your sales are coming from new customers because you're new customer dominant, accidentally ordering too much inventory is really risky, because to offload it, you may need to scale ad spend so high that your CAC actually drives a new customer loss. And so it's actually a huge risk to over order on inventory. That's another place where a CFO can really help you navigate the risks of scaling in a new customer dominant brand. So in summary, a new customer dominant brand can scale ad spend profitably, but you must keep a keen eye on gross margin dollars per order. You're probably going to have to proactively expand sales channels sooner than other types of brands, and you need to really watch inventory purchasing. But the good news is Free to Grow CFO can help you navigate this game. We're experts at it, and if you want to learn more, visit us at freetogrowcfo.com. Don't forget, if you like today's episode, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. It helps us reach more people like you. Also, if you want daily tips on scaling a profitable D2C brand, follow me, John Blair, on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in learning more about how Free to Grow CFO can help your brand increase profit and cash flow as you scale, check us out at freetogrowcfo.com.